Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're opening up the manager's playbook. We're going to break down a really powerful framework that'll help you go from just being a supervisor who assigns tasks to a true motivator who builds an amazing team.
So let's just start with this question right here. Are you a manager or are you a motivator? Because the truth is, the very best leaders today, they're both. And in this explainer, we're going to give you the exact playbook to get there.
Okay, here's how we're going to do it. First, we're going to talk about the manager's new role. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how you actually uncover what your employees need. After that, we'll play detective and find what's blocking their motivation. And finally, we'll put it all together and build an action plan. It's a clear process you can use over and over again.
All right, first up, the manager's new role. And this is all about a huge shift in thinking, moving from just oversight to real inspiration. See, your job isn't just about managing tasks anymore. It's about being the architect of an environment where people can actually succeed.
And here's the real kicker. Being a motivator isn't some personality trait you're born with. Not at all. It's a process. It's about being a leader who actively discusses what people need, identifies what's getting in their way, and then builds a plan to help. It's that cycle, discuss, identify, build, that really creates that drive.
Which brings us right to our second section, uncovering employee needs. And the most important first step here is, well, it's pretty simple, but it gets overlooked all the time. It all starts with a conversation. You just can't motivate people if you don't actually know what they need to thrive.
And that first step is so critical. You have to discuss. This isn't about guessing what your team wants or, just assuming everyone's motivated by the same things. Nope. It's about intentionally making time for real one-on-one chats to find out what really drives each and every person.
So what are we really looking for in these conversations? We're trying to pinpoint what we call employee needs. These are the core foundational drivers behind someone's performance, their happiness at work, their engagement. You can think of these as the why behind all their effort and their commitment.
So what does this actually sound like? Well, you might hear someone talk about wanting to learn new skills. That's a need for growth. Or maybe they just want their hard work to be noticed. That's a need for recognition. It could be a desire for more freedom in how they do their job, or a better work-life balance, or just wanting to see how their little piece fits into the big picture. All right, on to section 3, finding the motivation blockers. Now, this part is about moving from just talking to actually getting some real insight. Once you have a good idea of what an employee needs, the next step is to figure out what's standing in their way.
This is really the analysis part of the playbook. Your job here is to kind of become a detective. You're using your observations to pinpoint those barriers. It's all about connecting the dots between what they need and what's stopping them from getting it.
I really love how this slide just boils it all down. On one side, you've got the employee's need. That's their rocket fuel, right? And on the other side, you have the potential barrier. That's the brick wall. For every single driver, there's a potential blocker you can start looking for.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. Say an employee tells you they need to grow. Well, the barrier might be that there are just no training opportunities. Or if they need recognition, maybe the barrier is that nobody really knows what success looks like because the goals are fuzzy. A need for work-life balance? That can get completely blocked by constantly unrealistic deadlines. See how it works?
And that brings us to our final step, section 4, building your action plan. This is where all that listening and analyzing turns into real, actual action. This is where you, as that motivational architect, really get to work designing a plan to tear down those barriers.
So your analysis leads you directly to building this action plan. And this is so important. This is not some vague promise to look into it or think about it. No, this is a structured, intentional plan that you create to deliver on everything you've just learned.
So what's a good action plan look like? It follows these 4 simple steps. First, you analyze everything you found. Second, you strategize. You brainstorm specific things you can do. Third, you implement it with actual timelines. And last, and please don't skip this part, you review it by following up with the employee. This creates a feedback loop that makes sure your plan is on track and, actually working.
So this really brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. Motivation isn't magic. It's not some special gift that only a few leaders have. It's just a process. You don't have to be a natural at this stuff. You just have to be willing to follow this clear, repeatable process, discuss, analyze, and act.
And there you have it. That's the manager's playbook.
Discuss needs, identify what's blocking them, and build an action plan to fix it. It's a simple framework that can unlock so much potential in your team. So, your playbook is ready? What's your first move?